Hello, welcome to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast, where it is all about helping amazing physicians just like you create a wealthy life free from burnout and with the financial security to practice medicine on your own terms. I'm your host, Dr. Elisa Chiang. Hello, and welcome back to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. As I've been coaching physicians on job changes and career transitions, one thing that few people think about is their employer-sponsored retirement accounts. Most people assume that every dollar in their employer-sponsored retirement account belongs to them. I know I did early in my career. And that assumption can be a very expensive mistake. Today, we're talking about vesting, what it actually means, how it's governed by federal law, and why it matters so much for physicians who change jobs, negotiate contracts, or work in employed roles. This is one of those topics that doesn't sound exciting, but it can easily be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your career. This episode is also personal for me. In my very first physician job after fellowship, I left after 2 years and 9 months. I didn't give any thought to my employer contributions in my retirement account. I probably assumed that those contributions were mine, just part of my employee compensation. That was true when I worked for Caltech as a year as a research assistant before I started medical school. I later found out that they weren't. Because of the vesting schedule, I didn't get to keep any of my employer contributions. At the time, I didn't even know vesting was a thing. I learned the lesson the hard way, but at least I learned from it. Hopefully, there will be listeners who learn from my experience and don't have to learn from the hard way. Vesting, at its core, is about ownership. When money is vested, it's yours to keep even if you leave your employer. Your own retirement contributions, your 401k or 403 deferrals taken out of your paycheck, are always 100% vested immediately. After all, that is your money. That's required by law. The part that gets trickier is the employer's money. And what I mean by that are things like the employer match, profit sharing, or non-elective contributions. Those employer contributions may vest over time. And that's where federal law comes in. Vesting rules are governed by ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Employers don't just get to make up whatever vesting schedules they want. The law sets minimum standards, and employers can be more generous, but they can't be more restrictive. Two main vesting structures that are allowed by law. The first is cliff investing. With cliff investing, you get nothing until you hit a specific milestone, and then you're suddenly 100% vested. Under federal law, that cliff cannot be later than 3 years. This structure is very common in private practices and probably some hospital systems. If you leave after working there for 2 years and 11 months, you get zero, meaning you don't get to keep any of your employer's contributions. If you stay for 3 years, then you get everything. That was exactly the structure of my first job, and exactly why leaving a few months shy of 3 years cost me all of my employer contributions. The second structure is graded vesting. With graded vesting, you earn ownership gradually over time. Federal law says employers cannot stretch graded vesting beyond 6 years. The slowest allowable schedule vests 20% after 2 years, and then increases 20% each year until you're fully vested after 6 years. Employers can choose to vest faster, but they can't go slower than that. My second physician job looked very different from my first. It was at a county hospital, so technically it was actually a government job. The employer contribution to my retirement plan was actually quite significant, and the vesting schedule was graded at 20% per year. By this time, I had learned from my previous mistake, so I understood vesting much more. Before leaving that job, I verified exactly how long I needed to stay to reach the next vesting milestone and to receive my annual bonus. By staying just a few months extra past the 2-year mark, I was able to fully vest for 2 years and got to keep 40% of my employer's contributions to my retirement account, as well as collect my annual production bonus. Had I stayed for 2 years on the dot, I would not have collected that annual production bonus. That decision alone was worth tens of thousands of dollars. That experience taught me that vesting isn't just a rule, it's a strategy. One of the biggest traps I see physicians fall into is comparing jobs based on salary, bonus, and potentially employer retirement contributions without asking when that employer money actually becomes theirs. In my experience, academic institutions often offer far more generous retirement contributions and more friendly vesting options. Private practices run by private equity, and potentially hospital-employed roles may advertise attractive contributions, but the vesting schedules can be much less forgiving. Another important nuisance is how the year of service is defined. Most plans require 1,000 hours worked in a year to earn a vesting credit. That really matters if you're part-time, reducing your FTE, or transitioning towards retirement. You may feel like you've worked a year clinically, but not earning a vesting year at all. There are special situations where vesting rules can change depending on the plan. Some plans grant full vesting upon death, disability, or plan termination, but this is not automatic or guaranteed. Mergers and acquisitions do not automatically accelerate vesting either. This is why you never want to assume anything. Always reach out to human resources and verify whenever you have a question on something. Independent contractors are a different story altogether. If you're a 1099 physician, vesting rules don't really apply because technically you're self-employed, meaning you are both the employee and the employer. Solo 401ks and SEP IRAs are always fully vested, which is one of the hidden advantages of self-employment. After all, when you're your own employer, hopefully you're not going to really screw yourself. If there's one action step I want you to take after listening to this episode, it's this. Pull up your retirement plan's summary plan description. Find the vesting schedule. Calculate how much of your employer contributions are vested and how much are not. If you're considering a job change, factor vesting into that decision before you give notice, not after. Vesting isn't exciting, but it can be powerful. It's one of those quiet rules that can dramatically shape your long-term wealth, especially for physicians who earn well but move often. Before you assume that money is yours, make sure it actually is. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a colleague who's thinking about changing jobs, or with someone who assumes their retirement account balance is fully theirs. And if you want help reviewing your benefits, your job offers, or thinking about making a career change, this is something you don't have to figure out alone. As your coach, I can help you explore what you're really looking for in a new position and the financial impacts of each option to help you decide what works best for you. If you would like to learn more about working together, you can schedule a consultation Zoom call with me at www.growyourwealthymindset.com. Thank you so much for being a listener of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. If you love this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on your podcast app. I would really appreciate it. Have a great week. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could share it with your friends and colleagues. And now for the disclaimer. I am not a certified financial planner, accountant, or attorney, and nothing I say should be construed as professional investment, tax, or legal advice. This show is primarily for your education and entertainment. I am a physician, but I'm probably not your physician. So if you need any medical advice, please contact your own physician. Thank you.